All right, everybody, welcome to the Big Llama Show. I'm the Big Llama. Welcome to our very first live stream. I got my boy AD who's joining me in just a moment here. But before you do, if you're watching this right now, if you're watching it live, make sure you drop a comment. We're going to try to answer any and all questions as you're watching this. If you're watching this on the recording, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you know when we drop videos. When you subscribe, you become a member of the Llama Nation. All right, let me bring in my boy AD. AD, how you doing, man?
What's going on, man?
Hey. I'm glad to have you on here. Listen, last time we were on, we were talking about Mortal Kombat. It was well received by a lot of our viewers, so I'm glad to have you back on. I know you've been working on some things, so I want to talk about your new launch. So can you let me know a little bit about what you're working on there?
So blackout.gg, yeah, is on the screen right there. That's our website. We're launching like a merch brand, and that's the site right there. This is a dope setup. I gotta use this. But yeah, so we're launching Blackout, which is gonna be a media company that me and my friends are starting. It's something that I've been building on since I was probably like 14 or 15. And I used to play baseball, so I used that. It was like my future Blackout Athletics. You know what I mean? Like that was the original thing, but obviously I stopped playing, and through the pandemic I started really gaming a lot. I built my computer a couple of years ago, and I started getting into streaming and making content. And I still haven't figured out my content wave, but it turned out that Blackout was the media hub that we're trying to build. So we're gonna introduce it through a streetwear, and we have a couple drops lined up. We were supposed to launch on June 1st, but I overlooked some things, so the launch didn't go as planned. But it really, with me and my friends, we really my team, I should say, we really had a lot of positive talk about where we're taking it and what we did in such a short amount of time, that we just decided maybe we'll push the launch back and not have a date, and give us some time to make some actual content, podcast. And we even released a podcast just explaining it, just to get our feet wet. But we just want to make this a bigger media company, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, and I saw the early previews of some of the merch. I'm excited. I can't wait to get my hands on some Blackout shirts and some hats, and I'll be repping it on the channel for sure.
I appreciate that.
If you haven't already, if you go to Blackout GG, that's BLAKOUT.GG, is the website. Make sure you put submit your email address so that you can be notified when they launch. And I believe you guys are giving out a code or a promotion.
We'll send out an email with a 15% off discount on launch. And we have an email list that email went out on June 1st. So people who are getting in with this time, we're going to give a little extra just because we dropped the ball on the launch. But yeah, it also it gives people more time to sign up as well.
No problem, man. I mean, listen, with anything new, any new venture, sometimes there are hiccups, but it's better to get it done right than have it all messed up. So yeah. I'm sure the people will be excited. I know you got a lot of email hits on the site already, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing for everybody. So I'm proud to help you rep it, and I'm proud to be part of this whole network. And so again, Blackout AD, that's my boy right there. So please support it. So if you're watching this on the rebroadcast, go to the website BLAKOUT.GG, submit your email address, and you'll be notified when they launch the site. I'm telling you, first reviews of some of the clothing, some of the merch look really great. And check out also, I think you're on YouTube as well, right?
We started a YouTube page this week, Blackout GG, and okay. No dot, just Blackout GG. And yeah, we released our explanation of why we pushed the launch back. And we started, me and my boy Justin, we started a podcast called Organized Disaster back in the day, and we're kind of bringing that back. So we would love to have you on and get a nice little interview, because that's where I want to take my career, interviews.
No, listen, no problem. Anywhere I can expand my brand as well. So trust me, yes. I'll be on there. Anything you guys need, I'm there.
Yeah.
All right, before we get moving along to the next topic, I do want to mention just a story because I know you're working on this site. I'm working on branching out my channel. I just had a nice little story before we get into our topics. I was able to link up with this guy. He's a drummer. Emmy award-winning drummer. Grammy award-winning drummer. He was in a movie, and so he sent me the movie. I'll post a link to my review on it. And I did the review. I was a little skeptical. I wasn't sure what I was going to see. And when I tell you that just making these connections with people on YouTube, it's amazing. This guy's building his brand. He's building his his acting career, and he's again a certified drummer. And he allowed me to review that we're doing like a spec project to get like a TV series going. And that's where this short film came from, and the short film won a lot of awards. Long story very short, I got reached out by the producer of that short film, and he hit me up and said, thanks for the review. And that's where it starts. It's just small building blocks to try to grow the channel and get people to know about the Big Llama show. So because besides the movie reviews, my goal in all this obviously is providing a great show, is to continue to make this a bigger and better show. Future episodes from this live feed will continue with AD here because I think we have a good thing going.
Yes, sir.
But I want to bring on my boy SINA, who does the music for me and does the music for my show. He's somebody I've already talked to, and he's willing to come on the show. And so more than just the movies, more than just the reactions and reviews, that's the typical stuff, which I love to do. I want to branch out into doing other things. So that's essentially where I'm trying to go with the channel. Again, trying to get this bad boy monetized first is the goal. So I'm going to say it 100 times over in this broadcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you do that if you want to support the channel. All right. We ready? Let's see.
Let's go.
What's going on in the world today? I know that Mayweather is fighting Logan Paul, and look, it's on live now. We can't broadcast exactly what's going on, but I know you're watching it there.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
I can send you the link as well.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if I like these Paul brothers. I'm not trying to start a YouTube beef because I know, Lord knows, I'm low on the food chain for these guys. But that's where they started their careers. They're YouTubers turned boxers. And I don't know, man. They're fighting these weird fights. Mayweather's a legit guy. So
yeah.
Listen, I hate to say this, but I hope Mayweather knocks this dude out. That's what I want to see.
I think that's probably 9 times out of 10 what's going to happen. I do have a different perspective, though. I think it's kind of amazing the fact that he could get himself in a fight with Mayweather, and obviously Mayweather sees it beneficial because it's money. Mayweather, he's not doing it he's not doing it just because. He's doing it because he's going to get a huge paycheck from this, and then the potential of him fighting his brother. And even like one of my friends today at my game was talking about how, what if he loses this fight, builds up the hype, then fights the brother, beats the brother, and then has a rematch and then beats him and gets 3 different checks just because there's not going to be an official announcement. So if somebody doesn't get knocked out, there's not going to be like a hand raised. So there could be a world where some people think Logan wins, and that could create some controversy, which I think is a very smart business move.
No, listen, from a money perspective, I see. Look, these Logan Paul and his brother are smart. They're smart individuals. They're smart business guys. They make millions of dollars knowing how to push the buttons, right? And so Mayweather's no dummy. He knows that this is a big payday for him. It keeps him relevant. It keeps him in the discussion. Nobody is discussing this as a legit like boxing, conquest. This is more of a sideshow, I think. But it's got real backing. You got DraftKings backing it. You've got, it's
Showtime.
right. Showtime is on it. I mean, these guys are making some serious dollars off of this stuff. And again, what used to be relegated to celebrity exhibitions, which are pretty ridiculous, has turned into a pretty legitimate sport in the absence of real boxing. And that's the other part I think that this kind of speaks to boxing in itself, the state of it.
Yeah, it shows a lack of boxing's evolution.
Right. I mean, when you need celebrity interference or you don't have a true legit star, at least not. I'm not saying that there isn't a legitimate star in boxing, but you don't have the Mike Tysons of the world. You don't have, Mayweather, Pacquiao. You don't have these guys who transcend.
I mean, they got Canelo, they got Deontay Wilder, they got some people. It's just their brands aren't big, and I think another thing is that the UFC is getting bigger every year.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like all the top fighters are going to the UFC. So before there was a lane only, like if you wanted to fight and make money, the only lane was boxing. Now there's multiple lanes because now you could go fight in like ONE FC or like overseas and like, you know what I mean? Like it's more into the cage fighting, I feel like, rather than boxing. I think that's why boxing's losing its luster. But it could be good.
No, listen, and it's got and it's riddled with controversy, unfortunately, boxing, and so this stuff right here can pull it out of the gutter. It certainly has gotten younger viewers, the Logan Paul fans and those guys, gotten them into boxing. And I'll share my story. My son, my youngest son, hounded me for the last fight that was promoted. Hey, we got to watch it, and I got to see it. It's a YouTube guy, and this and that. And I'm like, oh, I think was it KSI or I don't know. It's one of those guys was fighting.
Yeah.
But again, that tells me that that's the money's there to be made, and the reach is there. So
they're tapping into something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's gonna be what it is. The old school boxing guys may not necessarily like it. I'm not an old school boxing guy. I just look at it from that perspective. As I remember growing up, having the De La Hoyas, having these big names, the Sugar Ray, Hearns, these big fights. I'm dating myself. There are all these old 80s fights. But no, that's again, those were the big marquee matchups. And you're right. It was the only game in town. And with UFC and these other, Bellator and all these other fighting organizations.
I didn't think about Bellator.
Yeah, I mean, with all these other options, you've got to step up your game and you've got to show out, and they haven't. So I think this may be helpful. Predictions. Who do you think's going to win this one?
I'm going with Mayweather, but I do think because I watch a lot of their content now, just because I want to learn like what makes them so like attractive to everybody, and. It does seem like both of them are taking it serious, and it does seem like the younger brother can have a actual fighting career if he wants. And so I give him credit to that. And it also gives me kind of like, what if I build a brand big enough and I could like somehow get into the majors? And you know what I mean? Like the possible, like they would never box before. You know what I mean? Like I played baseball before. Like what can you do with like a strong brand or just people believing in you? I think is the bigger thing out of this. I mean, but I do think Mayweather's gonna finish him like he did to.
Well, to your point, what can a brand do for you? Just look at Tim Tebow. I mean, that guy got tryouts with the Mets. He's going to be tight end for the Jaguars, and I'm not. Again, Tebow haters don't come after me, but I made a video saying I don't think that him signing with the Jaguars was a good idea. This guy gets more opportunities than anybody. But that's to your point. His brand is so large, and it attracts so many more, eyes to the game. That why wouldn't you take a chance on a guy like that?
That's all it is eyes.
Yeah.
These brands want eyes. And
exactly.
Who do you think's gonna win?
I mean, like I said, I want Mayweather to knock this dude out. I want him to put him in his place. I like boxing and I like Mayweather. I think he's, Mayweather's the type of boxer who you may not like at first, right? And he may be braggadocious and he may be a loudmouth, but he did back it up for many, many years. And To me, I love those guys, those arrogant guys who just talk all kinds of shit and just, are in your face,
I also enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean that's the fun part.
It amplifies it.
Right. And if Mayweather gets knocked on his ass and he gets knocked out, I'm the first one to be like, ooh, look at that! I told you he was gonna get knocked out, even though I like the guy.
Yeah.
But that's the fun part of having like a villain or not a villain, but like a guy who just pushes the buttons. So I like Mayweather in this fight. I think because he's a true boxer. I think his pride will not allow him to come into this match, and underestimate this guy.
I also think that. So I heard somewhere somebody was like, he's not even training for this fight. And I was like, that would be foolish of him. And he doesn't even seem like the type of person who wouldn't like put himself in a ring and not train, especially when you talk about being 50-0 and being the greatest of all time. Like that puts a chip on your shoulder. And like people who reach that level of greatness, they have a different mindset. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that Logan doesn't factor in.
Right.
You know
and I'll tell you, even if Logan out-trained Mayweather, and even if Logan is in better shape, there's going to be a point in that match if Mayweather is struggling, where he now knows that it's his legacy on the line, it's his name on the line, and that's why I give Mayweather the edge. I think he can beat him handily, but if for some reason it goes sideways, I think Mayweather has that gear. He can turn it on and just put that knockout power on there.
Yeah,
but
I mean, people always say that championship mindset, especially in fighting. Like those championship rounds, not many people do that. And I do. I lost my train of thought. Go ahead. I have something else to say.
No problem. But I mean, listen, and that's the thing. We'll see what happens if I don't think they're. I mean, it's about what 9:30, 9:54 right now. They're not going to. They're going to box until about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. If we have a champion, then we'll announce it here if we're still on the air. How's that?
If we're on the air, that sounds good. Actually, I think it was brilliant that Logan Paul brought that up in like the lead up to it. He was bringing up Mayweather's legacy. He's like, I already won. I'm in a fight with Mayweather. He has to protect his legacy. And like, I'm sure Mayweather already has that in his head, but if he didn't, that's a perfect way to get into somebody's head. You know what I mean? I don't think it's gonna, because I mean, we've seen what I think Conor McGregor's a better shit talker than Logan Paul. You know what I mean? Logan Paul is the quote unquote nice guy, especially out of him and his brothers. Like his brother would probably have a better banter. I mean, he already got your hat thing, and so I like this though. At first I was hating on it, but then I just looked at the bigger picture, and it's kind of dope that you can create something out of, to be honest, nothing.
Right. Well, like I said, more power to him. Hopefully it's a good match and people enjoy it. People are entertained. That's the bottom line on that one. So I think we're both picking Mayweather to win this one, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to another topic. We're going to go from the world of boxing to something that's happening next week. We've got the Loki show, which is hitting up next week on Disney Plus. I mean, Loki. Here's the thing. I've been very, very impressed with the Marvel shows. One thing I wanted to make a video on, I just didn't have the time, was sort of talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and how they attack social issues. But that's the beauty of Marvel, how they can bring in all these unknown characters and all these things and sort of weave them into the American life and pop culture. But I think Loki brings it all back. I think any departure you had or any, I think Loki starts to sort of tie everything up because the movies are coming fast and furious right after. So what do you think about Loki and his role in the Marvel Universe?
So I think this will kind of give us like a Kickstarter to the multiverse in some way. I don't know how, but I mean, we got Doctor Strange coming, and that's going to be obviously about the multiverse. But I think like just them introducing like the Time Patrol and like showing like and I just watched the trailer before, but like the joke where he's like, I need you to sign everything you ever said in your life. And like that implication of like, they've been watching everything, you know what I mean? They're probably going to introduce things that we don't even think about or know about that's happening in the Marvel universe now. So I just think it's going to show us a broader MCU, to be honest. And like you said, lead us into the movies that are upcoming.
Yeah, and you know what happens with this, and I have the preview sort of running there as we're talking. You know how this particular scene right here, right there just changed everything you thought of in the Marvel universe. So, you know, from the end game, and which it was a fantastic movie, there was a sense of dread when he took the Tesseract and just disappeared. And then they never came back to him. They were just moved on. And so I love the fact that how they set it up. But yeah, now the more mythical stuff, the multiverse, it's really opening. I mean, listen, I don't know who constructed this, man. I mean, certified genius, whoever this guy is. I know
it has to be Kevin Feige, huh?
Well, it's Feige and the writers
and like their team, yeah.
I mean, that's like the perfect setup. Like usually it's a poor plot device, or it's a poor sort of a badly transitioned script to a new universe. But this right here is just blends right in. Like there's nobody's questioning anything. This guy goes in now. He's going to fix the time, fix all the time circuits and everything. It's amazing how they can keep me hooked on this stuff, and it's characters that I don't really care for. Like when I was younger, I was reading Marvel comics, but it was the main thing: Spiderman, Iron Man, Thor. They just keep introducing new things and then make them fresh and nice. But and I know
Iron Man was like a B-list, C-list character when I was like in my time growing up. I didn't even like look at Iron Man like a cool I was like he's all right. I mean, Spider-Man was the greatest. But I think that's the beauty of what Marvel is doing, is that they are taking characters, because that just shows they don't have to give you the heavy hitters, because now all the heavy hitters, and I think that's what you see like with like fan theories and stuff. It's like people want the bigger characters, but they keep they're like feeding you little characters just to keep you hooked, because I think once they saw this like success of Iron Man and like the continued success of movies after that, it wasn't what's the next movie we're gonna make, but like how can we build this universe? And I'm thinking they're probably like 20 years down the line. You know what I mean? Like they're planning, and especially now with that focus, who knows where they could take us? Who knows? Right.
I mean, listen, they Marvel was so genius that they released a trailer, right? And I reviewed it and I gushed over it like a fanboy. They released a trailer of just movie titles for the next year and a half. And everybody was like, here, take my money. Here's my money. I mean, it was just ridiculous. But that's the frenzy that they've created with this series, these shows, the movies. I mean, listen, the pandemic like shut everything down. And I'm telling you, there was a deep depression in the Marvel fandom. I mean, in Nerdville, USA, everybody was down. And listen, and all I heard was, got to get everybody back to the movies. We got to get back to the movies. And people were, movie theaters may never open again. But what did Marvel do? Hey, we'll see you at the movies. They dropped this trailer and they're like, all right, everybody's like, yeah, I'm going to the movies.
Yeah. I think people were foolish to think the movies were going to be done during the pandemic. Like, one, we didn't know how long we were going to be locked in. And like now that things are starting to open up, you see everything full. Like people just want to get out of their house. They just want to do stuff. And like movies has always been just a chill time. Like I've gone to movies is like a huge part of my life, going to the movie theater. And like I knew I didn't care if anybody ever was going to go back, but I was going to go back. Like I was going to find a way to go sit in the movies and get some movie theater popcorn, because it's just a good time. And I think we touched on it in the Mortal Kombat review, but like it's not the same when you get these releases at home, because you're not locked in like you would be at the movies, Right. I mean, you're essentially it's an experience that you and other people have together. And so the Loki series and the other Disney Marvel series, I think what the smart thing is, and I thought it was bad at first, because the pandemic, we were so used to binge watching everything.
instant gratification. I can watch episode 2. I can watch episode 3. I can finish the whole series by the end of this weekend. And what they force you to do with WandaVision and they force you to do with Falcon and the Winter Soldier is have dialogue, have that creative spark of what's coming next, who might be revealed. And it was genius. I mean, again, a lot of the companies are just giving into, all right, we're going to push this show out and you're going to watch everything. And within 3 days, people have binge watched the whole thing and that's it. There's no more talk.
Now they're waiting for the next. Yeah. And I think you see that with like just scheduled television. It does really well for keeping people interacted. Plus, like, it gives content creators like a chance to, like a whole week of creating content for the show, which builds, because I think with like movie reviews and stuff, you see like the hype, like even with like Mortal Kombat, you saw the hype, but now that Mortal Kombat's gone, it's, it's gone. Nobody really talks about it. You'll see like little glimmers of like the sequel and stuff, which there will be, and I'm glad about. Right. But I think schedule, especially now, because there is that instant gratification, I think scheduled TV is so much more important, like for the experience of it.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Loki's role in this is bringing it all back to the movies. I think that's what I see in the show. Now, the early reviews, I know a couple of big YouTubers got to watch the first episode, and they said you're going to be blown away, and it was great. So I don't know if they're fanboying it, or I don't know if they're just hyping it up because they got an early release, but
that's another thing. They're putting movie budgets on these shows.
Right. And
they're giving us 8 hours of, or like how many episodes? Probably like around 8, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure what
but either way, let's just say 8 hours of content at a high level. Like these shows are going to enhance the experience, and it's going to get so many more casuals to like the movies for like bigger, like Moon Knight. Nobody knows. I don't even know about Moon Knight,
but like he showed up in the Eternals trailer, and I was like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah. I didn't even know he showed up in the Eternals commercial. But like, I guarantee by the time we see Moonlight, we're gonna know all we need to know, and to make an informed decision whether we like it or not.
Right.
And they haven't missed.
No, and that's the thing is I'm very, very well. Here's what I hate doing takes that are against the grain of YouTube, but I don't know, the Eternals are scaring me, man. The Eternals are scaring me because so I said it in the review for Eternals, but I'm not as excited for that one. Like I don't know who these guys are, and the thing that I compared it to was Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was just about to ask you, did you know of the Guardians of the Galaxy?
No. But here's the thing. I didn't know anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy, but they did everything marketing-wise to make me interested. They played flashy music. They showed, these action sequences. And, there was built up trust in Marvel at that point that you go, okay, this could be good. No one knew how good it was going to be. But that's what I was hoping for when I saw the Eternals trailer drop. I said, okay, they're going to open up the world. I'm going to know everything I need to know about the Eternals, or at least excited enough to see the next trailer. And I just got Ang Lee vibes. Like this was a moving spectacle. And this director is the director who had won an Oscar for Minari or whatever it was. And it was like, okay, what's happening here? And then my issue with this was that it had tone issues. Like it was this moving spectacle. Everything was so great. And then they tried to Avenger it at the end and do a little funny, like, haha moment. And I'm like, what are you going for here? Like, I'm not interested in the jokes unless I know what these characters are. So
I think that part was kind of out of context, but I also think it was kind of like their way of being like, this is like, they know who the Avengers are. You know what I mean? Like, to get the people that weren't like going to be interested off the bat. You know what I mean? I think it was like a strategic move because it was kind of out of place for the whole, like, especially with like the song, it was like the end of the world. Like, you know what I mean? So it was super out of touch. I mean, out of tone.
Right. And I listen, and that's why I said I'm intrigued. I'm going to go see it. I bow at the Church of Marvel. I do attend the services regularly. So I'm not going to not go see this movie. In fact, I'll see it day one and I'll check it out. But I'm a little nervous, and that's all. And you got Angelina Jolie and you got a couple people but you know what I got out of it, and this was the sad part, was I got out of it that it was a Robb Stark and it was a Game of Thrones reunion, because I saw the two actors from the Game of Thrones, Jon Snow and Robb Stark. That was it. That's what I said in the review, and I felt like, wow, that's what I got out of it. So.
I think I was watching a couple, because I don't know anything about any of the Eternals, so I was watching like some backstory and just trying to get something about it. And I watched one channel, and they were talking about this could be the perfect movie to introduce the mutant gene, because these I think are like don't quote me because I don't know too much about them, but I do believe they are like the first humans, like technically, and somehow they're connected to Namor, which is in the comics was like the first mutant, like, and then obviously like in X-Men Apocalypse, they're also connected to Apocalypse and somehow, and he's also considered one of the first mutants ever. And then I think they're gonna show like, or they're speculating that they're gonna show like Thanos's family lineage through this as well, because I think the deviants are gonna be a part of this story itself, and I think Thanos is a deviant. So we'll see. I mean, it's just the lack of not knowing what we're gonna go into this scene, because it could go very well, it could go very bad. It could be a boring movie just because we don't know who these people are and they didn't make them interesting enough. And to the Guardians in the Galaxy point, they had like Rocket Raccoon and Groot, which was like a super dope dynamic. Then you got like the Gamora, what's his name? Peter Quill. Yeah, what's his name? Star-Lord, yeah. They had that dynamic, so they had like good character dynamics. Right. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Marvel with Loki is on the right track. The Eternals are what scared me, so I'm glad we talked about it, because I had that pent up inside. I wanted somebody else to hear it. But again, I Loki brings it all back. As I said, I'm a little nervous what they do with Loki at the end of the series, because there are limited series. So we won't see a Loki series again, just like WandaVision was a one and done, which I think is great. But we'll see what happens. I have nothing but faith in it. I'm going to be watching it when it's released. I think it's Wednesday, right? I think the 9th.
I believe so.
Which is a weird day to release it, but the 9th it is. So
maybe they wanted to do a switch up on dates, because I think all the other ones were on the same date, I believe.
Yeah, listen, they tell me when to watch it.
Yeah, I'm watching.
I can't break down the schedule, but I'll tell you if it's there, I'm watching it. And I'm all for it.
There's also, just with the Loki, in the Loki the trailer, there's like a mountain, I think, in one of the backgrounds, and I think there was an explosion of a mountain in Eternals. So they're speculating that there could be a tie in there.
Oh well. So, it'll lead into the movies, I'm sure. I know Black Widow is the next one out, which is a departure. It's sort of a look back, but there's going to be linkage there to the next movies and everything else. So I'm hoping that Loki, in some shape or form, hints at the Fantastic Four. I don't think it will, but that's my wish.
Have they announced when they're doing the Fantastic Four movie?
No, just in that that big preview with the going back to the movies, it was just the logo of the Fantastic Four that came out. So it's
coming for sure, though.
It is coming for sure. Dumb me, I was like, "Is that an Avengers logo? What is that?" And it was big old 4 there, and I couldn't get it during my review. So, all right, let's move on. I think Loki's going to be good. Let's talk about another Marvel property, and let's talk about Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man coming out. My question, is it too much, and will Sony mess this up? Now, let me preface why I'm saying that, and so that you know where I'm coming from in this.
I think I might know.
There's so much speculation about the multiverse, right? How many? I mean, it's already confirmed that Alfred Molina, the old Doc Ock from the Sam Raimi series, is coming in. I think Electro, Jamie Foxx from the Amazing Spider-Man series. So you've got two different Spider-Man villains from two different movie sets coming in. Tom Holland obviously will be your main guy, but then there's the rumors of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming in, and Andrew Garfield doing a poor job of hiding it by
I was about to say they're trying to shut that down, but
I mean he was so over the top. All he had to say on camera was, "Guys, no."
Yeah, I'm not.
You can ask me 100 times over it. The answer's no. But no.
Again, what if he was just really fed up? He was like, "Yo, stop asking. I'm not in the movie. Just leave me alone."
I mean, you never know. And listen, this is why I said, will Sony mess it up? This could blow up if they don't have Tobey Maguire, if they don't have Andrew Garfield, if they don't have anything, even a cameo, like a 5-second cameo. The Marvel fandom will explode. They're gonna go insane that it didn't happen. Like, why would you have Alfred Molina? Why would you have Doc Ock and and Electro show up and not these other guys?
Unless they do it in a good way, to where they're not playing those characters from the universe,
right?
But they're like kind of like the Quicksilver thing in WandaVision.
Yeah, like the alter egos or the alternate universe.
Yeah, that universe. Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, at the end of Far From Home, the J. Jonah Jameson reveal was just I was mouth on the floor. I was
a brilliant way to make it like fit these times.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, I said I literally looked at. I was at the screen watching. I'm like, holy shit! How are they pulling off J. Jonah Jameson in this world? I said, this is amazing. There's something new coming. So I was excited for it, and I was very intrigued. But now when I'm seeing more and more of it, I'm like, is it too much? And somebody did make the point that, will this overshadow Tom Holland? Will this, if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in some inclination are there, how does that affect Tom Holland in sort of as the Spider-Man?
Now, what if? Let's get into theories. What if it's kind of like not Into the Spider-Verse, but where he pops into their timeline or their universe, and they're in the middle of like a battle or like a scene from the old movies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And in that way, I don't think it would overshadow him, because now that it's just kind of like we've seen those movies, and now we see from a different like perspective on screen now. You know what I mean? That could be a good way. Now, if they bring them and they actually team up and then they fight all these different villains, then they're kind of making the same mistake that the first two series did, which is bring a bunch of villains in the third movie when every time it seems like it's not a good idea. Like, I mean, the Tobey Maguire bringing Venom and having, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't do good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like that theory. If they can pull it off, as he's popping into a universe, he's being thrown in there, and he interacts briefly with them and then is out. That's fine. I think that'll work tremendously. But again, it could be a whole. Listen, it could be a mess, and it could be the greatest thing that's ever happened. I'm just, with Sony at the helm, I'm a little nervous. Now, I know Kevin Feige has control based on their contracts and everything else. But again, that could blow up in their faces. And that's my worry, because I really do love the Spider-Man franchise.
What's throwing me off is like what Sony's doing with their own like Spider-Verse and what they're going to do. Because I think Tom Holland's only under contract for like one more team-up movie, like Avengers team-up movie, and not another Spider-Man. So I'm kind of curious, like, what's gonna happen after this deal is done, and like, what does that mean for Spider-Man? Because No Way Home could also mean like he's not going back to Sony, and they're gonna keep him and like take all the properties, or like he's not coming back to Marvel after the team up. You know what I mean? Like, we could take it at that also, as well.
Yeah, man, you could get Tobey Maguire in the MCU.
That's how they set him up. And then there was like leaks of like maybe a Miles Morales character. So it's like, I don't know what they're really trying to do.
Listen. I remember watching Homecoming and seeing Donald Glover, who should be the Prowler, because that's Miles Morales' uncle.
Yes.
I'm sorry, a spoiler alert for anybody who didn't know that. I mean, that's who. I mean, but I always envisioned Donald Glover as Miles Morales. But I'm okay with it because if he's the Prowler, that's a pretty good casting. But yeah, if Miles Morales, because no one's talking about Miles Morales, if he pops up in this new Spider-Man. Okay, I mean, literal heads will explode in the movie theater, mine included. I'll fall out and do all kinds of noises if I see that dude come on screen, because I think
if it's just in the suit,
right, because that might be the future of the franchise is to venture off between Tom Holland and a Miles Morales character who was growing in popularity, growing in fame, and then the Spider-Verse movies. The Into the Spider-Verse, his the live the animated versions, those are hugely popular. I mean, and everyone's highly anticipating the second one. So if they introduce a Miles Morales character, it brings another layer of storytelling to the Spider-Man world, which is sorely needed. And then even if they introduce a Spider-Gwen or some other, again, doing it all in one movie is going to be rough. But I think if they lay the groundwork and the foundation for it in this one, it can be fruitful for them moving forward.
What if they did like a scenario where Sony gets like Tom Holland Spider-Man, and then the MCU keeps the new Miles Morales Spider-Man, and now you have a different? That would be crazy.
I mean, that would be insane, but I would tell you that might be the winning formula because they can't keep negotiating back and forth between star in these movies, being part of this one, and then they've got their own their own with Venom and everything else.
Venom, Morbius.
Yeah,
I mean they're setting up a Carnage character, and I mean Adrian Toome, what's his name? Adrian Toome, the Falcon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was in the Venom commercial for the sequel. So it's definitely going to tie in somehow to Tom Holland's universe. It's just how. And if they do that route where they can have two separate franchises going, because in a lot of ways, Marvel started Sony's Spider-Man franchise back up because now they got the Morbius movies, like I said. So they could do a trade-off where it's just hey, you can have Tom Holland Spider-Man, make your own universe with them, do your own characters. Just give us the Miles Morales storyline. Right.
I mean,
and you could do so much with the younger Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Tom Holland's not that old, but you could still, even if you were to recast him, you could do so much with him. That gives you another 3 movies of Spider-Man.
Right. Learn about this new Spider-Man and get him. Although Tom Holland is becoming almost like what Christopher Reeve was for Superman for a long time, is he's almost becoming the face that you see when you think of Spider-Man, and I think that's great. That means he's doing a great job. I don't think he'll be typecast the way Christopher Reeve was for Superman, but he is now who Spider-Man should be, and that's who I see as Spider-Man. But Miles Morales is starting to creep up in my rearview mirror and saying, okay, if I get a Miles Morales, I'm gonna be very happy because I like that character. I like his story, and honestly, from if you're trying to sort of add culture and add diversity to the project, a Miles Morales character naturally brings you that. It's
because obviously he's Puerto Rican and black, but it also gives you the hip hop culture. You could dive into imagine an MCU Miles Morales movie where they're giving kind of like the animated Enter the Spider-Verse, where it was it felt like hip hop. It felt like culture that I grew up in. You know what I mean? Something if I was a kid and I would have seen that off rip, that would have been my favorite superhero movie ever.
Right. I mean, listen, I'll tell you that movie, even being animated, was amazing. It had the heart. It had me with the feels.
I'm pretty sure I teared up. I'm pretty sure I teared up.
Listen, man, I teared up in that movie, and then that honestly, probably the most amazing sequence is when he takes that leap of faith at the end and he's going down the building. The visuals were just. I mean, I don't care if it was animated or not. I was in the moment with that, and just one of those moments. So that right there just shows you what good storytelling can do. and how it can, again, forget you're watching a cartoon, forget you're watching animated, and even the style. I mean, I was just in there.
If you really think about it, though, that's the most comic book accurate like art we've ever seen in a superhero cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Like it felt like the most like a comic book. Like that was my first reaction. Was like I felt like I just watched the comic book. Like just flip through the pages like that really fast. That's what I felt.
And it was self-referential. So like, they had the, hey, let's take a look at this again. And so, which was great because it was like, all right, we're poking fun at the origin story. They had fun with the characters, and they didn't take the character so serious where the tone was great, but it still had the heart. And that's what I think made that movie was. And then mind you, the whole sequence of him spray painting his tag and sort of, that to me was the olive branch or the hand extended to the urban culture and to hip hop kids and be like, hey man, we see you and we hear you. And so, I mean, I loved it. The music Biggie was playing that when he's walking down the street. I mean, come on, you don't get any better than that.
His I think like it's so iconic. If I would get a Spider-Man tattoo, it would be the Miles Morales with the Jordans on.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man suit with the Jordans. Like that. Oh man.
Yeah. If I was skinnier, I'd try to pull off the look, but I'm more a rhino-sized guy than a Miles Morales. When he's talking to Stan Lee and he's talking about the suit always fits. No, that don't apply to me, but that's all right.
Oh man. Yeah, for this Spider-Man movie though, it's kind of hard to predict like what's gonna happen because it can go so many ways with it. And what do you think about the Venom and Carnage movie? I see it up there.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
I have, again, I listen, man. I sometimes I feel like, because I'm basically talking to myself in this room. I'm alone in a room with my thoughts, and so I'm kind of thinking I might be just like depressing myself here because I had issue with I love the Venom movie. I did like the first one. It had its issues, but it was its own thing. This one I felt like they made him too comical. They were trying to do too much comedy in that. And, I mean, again, that's just the trailer. I mean, he's over there playing, the Swedish chef, doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I mean, making pancakes and making shitty jokes. And I was like, it's not necessarily what I wanted to see here. But Woody Harrelson can bring that class to the Carnage character. I wanted to go dark. I wanted to go a little bit darker with Carnage because that dude's a psychopath. I mean, that dude.
Maybe that's why they had to up the comedy a little bit because Carnage is a very dark character. Even like in the animated Spider-Man series, like I used to love him because he was so dark. I was like, man, like you don't really see like a crazy like he's a maniac who then gets a maniac symbiote, and it's just like the perfect combination for crazy MF.
Yeah, no. Listen, that's what I'm saying. Like that guy is a psychotic character,
and then you get Woody Harrelson, who could probably portray the character perfectly. Oof.
Exactly. Well, see, again, if they don't cartoon it up, then they're going to have a good movie on their hands because if you let Woody Harrelson do his thing, and you let him go to that dark place with that character and have some dark moments and dark scenes, you're going to have a good balance in this movie. If you let him like cartoon it up, if you let him overplay it or ham it up, then you've got, just a buffoonish villain who's just evil for the sake of being evil, and Venom is going to defeat the villain, and that's just how it's going to be.
Let's hope he doesn't go like Jim Carrey Riddler.
Right. That's what I mean. There's some characters that if played well enough can be very, very spectacular, but these actors, they go way too far in their thinking that this is the way to be evil, and that's the thing. Like Heath Ledger's Joker, that was a perfect explanation. There's no. He didn't ham it up. He didn't go over the top. It was just
Jared Leto.
Right. He didn't try too hard to be awkward or he just did his thing, and he was stayed in that character And in that dirty moments with him, and that's what was great about the character. But yeah, don't cartoon it up and make it,
Yeah.
And they got to sell tickets. I get it, but
But even then, that doesn't really sell. It's the people that connect to the character. That's the thing. I think there's like a fine balance of like making these movies hit where it feels realistic, but also still have the comic book elements that it still feels like it's coming from a comic book. You know what I mean? I think that's why like movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, there's like elements of like real life like ramifications in these movies, and then you also get like the comic book element of it. So you get like it's like grounded, but also, and I think that's why like the Christopher Nolan movies did well, because those were like super grounded, and we didn't really ever see that before. Yeah. But I think like Marvel found a good balance of having that groundedness and still feeling like because the Christopher Nolan didn't, to me, feel like a superhero movie. It just felt like a really good action movie with a great story. Obviously, it's Batman, but you know what I mean, like
yeah. Oh no, and that's what I was telling you about the tone, and that's what sometimes gets me on some of these. Like I said, Eternals had this epic tone, and then they just throw a little humor in there, and it's like you're way off. The Christopher Nolan series was well rooted in reality and in real things, even though it was Batman and even though it was over the top characters. But that's how they built the world. They said, okay, it's a real world setting with real world consequences, real world actions, and Batman happens to be a part of this world and he can do different things. But it still was something that, even the over the top stuff that happened in those movies, you were feeling that there was some reality based behind it. So
yeah.
All right. So Spider-Man 3, hopefully they don't mess it up. I hope they do it justice. I mean, we've talked about a couple of things in and out of there, Miles Morales being one of them. And I know they just cast a new character in the Into the Spider-Verse Part 2.
Oh, Issa Rae.
Yeah, Issa Rae, yeah. So
I love her.
Yeah, I know she's awesome. And again, that's the type of characters that you need in that world. And I want to say, and I hate to say this, but it's not just diversity for the sake of diversity. It's characters that make sense in that universe, in that world. The people they cast in the last Into the Spider-Verse were spot on and were amazing. And so
yeah,
and they got a little bit of it for everybody. So again, that's the way you make a movie, and not sort of have to give up concessions just to try to be diverse. So. Okay, so will Sony mess it up? We'll see.
I just hope it's not another Spider-Man 3.
Oh, I know. You got him in the black suit doing the dance, man. I don't want that.
Yeah, I see somebody say, I hope Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come back and they're bad. And they both dance. They both walk down the street dancing together.
Oh my God, there will be so many bully Maguire memes and everything else, man.
And I guarantee they're gonna hit you with the Spider-Man pointing at each other meme in the movie.
Oh,
if they're in the movie, it's 110% gonna happen.
See, and that's what we need. And I hate when people say, "Oh, that's just fan service." Who cares? That right there would make the movie for me.
I'm a fan and I feel serviced.
Right, exactly. I get to that point and they're pointing at each other and they're doing the thing. You. I forget it, man. I'm done. I'm just like, all right.
That's worth the ticket right there.
Right, worth the price of admission. I'm done right there. All right. Well, let's see. We didn't get any viewers this time around. I didn't really, and so just to be fair, I didn't really announce this to I would normally put like an invite to my people and send out some notes. I didn't. This is our first time just trying this live session with StreamYard. If you couldn't figure out by the logo at the upper right hand corner,
sponsorship without the sponsor.
I mean, let me just hold on. Let me just show you something that StreamYard. And listen, StreamYard is StreamYard, but they got to make their money. Let me just show you what they wanted me to do if I wanted to use a logo. I'm going to show you the screen right now. Oh no! They tell me I can't upgrade it. Hold on. Oh, they won't let me do it. They won't. Oh, here we go.
Hey, do you want to put this on your live stream, brother? No, dude.
I got a duck with a headphone on. That's my logo. So StreamYard, thank you for the service, but I'm not going to use your overlay. That's for sure.
That's probably the last overlay I'll use.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, man. Like when I first put it on, I said, "Wow, I guess I'm sponsored." So anyway, so again, we didn't get any Q&A, which is fine. I think we had a great show. What we'll try to do is in the future, if we're going to do any more live shows, we'll definitely put out some notification to everybody. I want to thank AD for joining me for this hour.
Appreciate you having me.
No problem, man. No problem. Listen, whatever you got going on, let the Big Llama Show know. We'll put it on the site. We'll put it on the channel. We definitely need to support each other. And
vice versa. Yeah, I was about to say vice versa.
And hopefully the Big Llama will appear in a future. Was it organized
disaster? Yeah,
organized disaster podcast. Listen, because I'd love to help out in any way I can, and I think these types of forums are what the internet was made for, is to share, to meet with anybody. Now, before we go, any updates on the fight? Are they fighting yet or no?
Oh, I kind of got lost in our conversation. I forgot about the fight.
That's all right. I want to see if we can break something live. Let's see.
It's commercials.
Okay, so they're not fighting yet. All right.
I think they're doing the lead up to it.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not fighting.
No problem. All right, so let's do this. Let's close out the show.
Appreciate this, man. This was actually really fun.
No problem. So, AD, thank you so much for joining the show. Once again, let me do my typical YouTube sign off. If you like this and you want to see more content like this, hit the like button. Be generous. Hit the like button and make sure that you leave a comment. Let us know what you enjoyed about this particular broadcast, what you didn't like. If you want to see more stuff from me, subscribe to the Big Llama channel, the Big Llama Show. When you do that, my videos appear more on your feed, and it helps the YouTube algorithm. And then if you really like my stuff, make sure you hit that bell notification so that you'll know exactly when I drop the new material, new content. All right, so that's it for us here. Thank you so much, AD, for joining me. I'm the Big Llama. It's the Big Llama Show. Peace out, everybody.